Hey, Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back in the Gumbo pot for another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode number 165, Gumbo Live. This goes all the way back, Alex, way back. Gumbo Live is the #1 Tuesday night Facebook Live talk show in Alex's basement dedicated to board games. Our special guest tonight, Alex Goldsmith, our old friend and former host of the Dukes of Dice with Sean, our New York City the expert on New York City, all things New York City. So hit us up on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Bluesky at Board Game Gumbo. We'll be looking for your questions in the chat group. Before I get to Alex, quick show note, www.southerngamefest.com. It's Sobo time. Furla's not going to be there this year, but maybe next year. But the Newmans will be there. Come visit us in lovely Acadiana. We'll be in downtown Lafayette, March 29th and 30th. Tickets are still available. It's a wonderful fundraiser for New Hope Foundation. And so make sure you get your tickets. And we're going to be doing some giveaways over the next couple of weeks. So be looking for that if you get your badge. If you got a badge already, it's okay. You'll still be part of the giveaway. But enough blather. Let's get right to our special guest. It's Alex Goldsmith. Can I still say the Dukes of Dice?
I mean, it didn't like it's open for if someone wanted to create a new Dukes of Dice, it'd probably be weird. So yeah, sure, I guess.
He's a Dukes of Dicer. He's a podcaster. He's a marketer. He's a hockey expert. It's Alex Goldsmith. Welcome to the show.
BJ, you listed so many things that I am no longer. You listed podcaster? Nope. Marketer? Not really. No,
you've done all those things.
Hockey, I've become more of an expert in hockey since the show, and less of an expert in anything else, including board gaming. So deeply unqualified to be here, but happy to be here.
You traded sticks, basically. You traded a lacrosse stick for the hockey stick.
Well, lacrosse was high school. That's a long time ago.
How much did it translate, though?
I don't think at all.
Okay, the offense. And hey, here's a guy who, between the two of us, I was, a professional lacrosse play-by-play guy, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, think about it though. In terms of offense, when you're around the net, I saw a lot of stuff that is reminiscent of what a hockey team would do to try to score a goal, right?
There are two things. One, I was a lacrosse goalie, so I wasn't even running the offense at the time. I will say the one thing with hockey is you have to have soft hands to kind of receive the puck.
Yeah.
And if you kind of jab at it or stab at it, you won't receive it. Same with a lacrosse ball. If you try and catch it by whipping forward, it's not going to happen. You have to kind of receive it in. So a little bit there, but yeah.
You know who made the easiest transitions between a different sport and lacrosse when I was doing all the stuff with lacrosse? It was weird. The baseball players were always the easiest.
Oh.
Because the throwing motion and the soft catching hands and the hand-eye coordination, it was all natural for them. They instantly figured out how to throw it. The football guys, it's different. It's not like throwing a spiral at all. I mean, it's that little whipping action. Well, not whipping, but you know what I'm talking about. You got to kind of softly catch it and then spin it forward. Very similar to baseball. Why aren't there any good lacrosse board games? That's what I want to know, Alex.
You want to take an even more niche sport and try and market it. Like baseball has a hard enough time, and that game's phenomenal. But I don't know how popular it is, as good as the game is.
There's like
baseball
two curling.
By the way, first mention.
Hey, you know what? Let's talk about that. I've got mine right here. Can you see that little tiny corner? Yeah, and you've got something to show us. You got a little, something. Wait, I would say you're proud of, but are you proud of it?
So I backed the Kickstarter for this for the latest expansion of Baseball Highlights 2045. It came with an expansion pack and a set of promos.
Right.
One of the promos is a coach card called Coach Millman, referring to
our dear friend,
Baseball Highlights 2045 champion, my arch rival and nemesis. Yeah, is it just 3? I feels like it's more.
It's 3 champions and a Texas State championship.
Okay,
it's not considered a national championship, just to make sure.
I would often match up in the finals with him or semifinals with him, and could not beat the guy. Could never beat the guy in any version of this, including a completely virtual Baseball Highlights 2045 league that he also eliminated me in. So there's a card for Coach Millman, and it's him holding the trophy. If you've been on Board Game social media, you might have seen it.
Stop the presses. We're a very technical show. This is a huge budget. So let's get right to the special effects, Alex.
Okay.
To show the card.
Ooh. There it is.
Big budget show here, Steve.
Second, but I'm right there next to the 0.
Yep.
So I'm permanently immortalized in my favorite board game of all time as having repeatedly lost when it mattered most. So there you go.
I'm going to screenshot that because you know what it was weird, Steve? That looked like the promo pic for Memento, the movie from written by Jonathan. What's his name? Chris Nolan and Jonathan Nolan. You know,
yeah.
Chris, have you ever seen Memento, Alex?
I have seen Memento. And
that's the front cover of it. What you were just doing is the front cover where he's showing.
Really?
He's showing a picture and
of a pic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's showing a picture to the lady at the bar. And he's like, hey, you know, have you seen this guy? And that's
it
what
wasn't
it
a
like
phone,
you were doing.
though. Wasn't a cell phone.
It wasn't a phone. No, you're right about that. Yeah. So baseball highlights that's the basis loaded edition.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of my top 10 games. Thanks to the Dukes of Dice. I wouldn't have even known about this game. In fact, to tell you the truth, I'm pretty sure that's how I found the Dukes of Dice because you guys had, you know, talked about it and I was looking for, you know, baseball games. I had played other baseball games when I was a kid and the Dukes of Dice came up, you know, in the first thing mentioned about Baseball Highlights 24/5. And I started listening to the show. This is back in 2016 or something like that. So
yeah, sounds about right. I mean, that was when I went to my first ever Dice Tower Con, which is where I first played the game. So
2017, then we met at the hallway in the convention center. Yep. Yeah. And then we walked over and we started playing the little flicking game with the track that you got to flick the cars around the track.
Pitch car, I think.
Pitch car, yeah. Hey, there's Tommy checking in. What's up, Tommy? We play a game with Tommy whenever we see him. And so the game we're talking about is Baseball Highlights 2045. Take a bet as to whether or not Tommy has ever played Baseball Highlights 2045. I will tell you, he's played almost every game there is in the last 10 years. He streams on Twitch a lot of games. I'm going to bet he has not played Baseball Highlights.
Does he like sports? Do we know this at all? Because
I don't know that.
Okay.
You're going to have to go in blind, Alex.
Knowing literally nothing, I'll agree with you, BJ, and say that he definitely hasn't played this.
You should have zigged while I'm zagging.
No.
You got a 50-50
No, we're going together. Oh no. Nah.
I told you. You
told me nothing.
I told you. So I've probably only won this game once. I'm always guessing the time he hasn't played it, and he's played it, of course. So I should stop betting against Tommy. He's played just about everything. So, but back to the Bases Loaded edition. I was super excited to get it. I think you and I, this is the All-Stars pack, and that's the first time this has been published, right? Because I had just about everything else.
Yeah, this is the new expansion. So this was part of the latest either Game Found campaign or Kickstarter. I don't remember which one it was effectively on. But yes, it's basically I got the level that was the newest expansion, a set of promos, and then dividers for a box that you can store everything in. Although for me, I have the mats and I have the full. I don't know if I'll be able to store everything in here. And in fact, I'm not going to even open it. You can hiding way back there. There's a custom box that Berkey made me way back in the day.
Oh. I didn't know
has all my Baseball Highlights stuff in it.
No, I tried it out. So I got my pledge a couple of days ago, and I want to say it was Saturday. And so the first thing I did is bust it out, put everything in it. There is a little tiny bit of box left, unfortunately, but I have everything except Berkey's game mat. Which, by the way, if you've seen the new game mats from Berkey, they're just, oh my god, they're phenomenal. They're just 3 millimeter with the stitched rolling and everything like that. I mean, yeah, I guess. Sort of shilling here, but
it's not a showstopper if it's not a game topper.
That's right. What was the thing that you used to say though? Yours was different.
That was I think the main one.
Mine was make your game night a showstopper when you play on a game topper. But yours was a little different. You had
I thought I just said it. I don't know. I don't remember anything different. So
yeah, I don't remember. We'll have to go back. Luckily,
it's been so long. It's been so long. I think the show ended. This year will be 3 years ago.
2 years, right?
It's been 2 years and change now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in 2022. So, yeah. Anyway.
So, can I ask an inside baseball thing about Dukes of Dice?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I thought you guys had the same graphic for every show every week, right? You do like a graphic.
Oh, the core. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. For the thumbnail is how the kids say it, right? So the thumbnail. But on the last show, whose idea was it to do just the composite black and white thumbnail? Was that yours? Was that Sean's?
Definitely not. No, it's Sean's idea.
Oh, okay.
I guarantee it's Sean's idea.
It was Steve. It was so sad, don't you think, man? See that grayed out, like almost like it was just the show has died.
Well, we did it as kind of a because it wasn't planned. This wasn't some big planned exit. It was a realization. And at the time, and I can talk about what's changed. Like at the time, I had a daughter who was just about to turn 1. It was first kid, and life was starting to get crazy, and it's only gotten crazier in the
New
sense
job.
that I now have
New
2.
bride.
So, yep, Ruby. I have Harriet. So I have a 3-year-old now and a 9-month-old. So juggling a lot these days, and not a ton of time for games, I will say, and definitely would not have been any time for a podcast. So it ended not in a planned way, but in a necessary way, I think.
Abruptly, for sure, but in the right way, right? Yeah.
Well, and again, as we said at the time, there was no bitterness. It wasn't like Sean and I. There have been several times over the course of that show where we almost like nastily divorced, but no, we've continued to hang out and talk. And I'm in a group chat with some of his buddies from high school, and so no, we're on
been to
great
Sean
terms.
Con a couple times, right?
That's right. Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I don't think I'll be able to go this year. This year it's going to be in Boston. So yeah.
Well, before the show, before you got into the green room, Steve and I were talking about how, man, 165 shows. Like, if we had to put a pantheon of favorite guests, obviously, Alex, you came up as top 3, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, hey, all right,
absolutely. But we were also but Steve was like, but we should focus on top moments, right? And one of those moments would be the time the 2 times that we called Sean in to come in as a surprise guest at the end. And one of them, he was doing some kind of Bonacore bit. I don't know if you remember that one. And the other one,
so yeah,
the other one, Mr. owning the high-powered law firm, he was late. He was still working and hadn't gotten home yet. So he did a phoner. He did a phoner.
Did you get him this time? Because if you got him this time, I'll be incredibly surprised.
I should have, but no, I did not do that.
Okay.
Hey, right. You know what? We organized his bachelor party. Oh wait, no, it was yours. Sorry.
It was my bachelor party.
Me and Sean organized your bachelor party. Yeah, that's good enough. I haven't really talked to him since then, unfortunately. But those 2 moments of Sean calling in, doing the Bonacore bit, and then actually doing a phoner like this is WNBC Boston, and I've got Sean Ramirez on the line. Hold on. There's Sean calling in. So that was kind of fun. So life is paved with good intentions. You never know when it ends. Yeah, good point. So sad to see the Dukes of Dice go, but hey, now we have time to be able to chat with you without having to worry about all the other commitments that you have, right?
You don't have to worry about any conflicts of interest. There's absolutely none at this point because I'm not even employed by a board game publisher at this stage. So
I know Verla and Steve, those 200 episodes of the Dukes of Dice where really he was kind of biased because he was in the industry. Now he's gonna give us the truth tonight. Tonight
that's
is
right.
all
the
truth.
Unvarnished truth. Yeah.
Hey, there's God checking in, and I'm going to bring in Steve and Verla because we do want to talk before we get to the main event, the FINSPAN talk. You and I were kind of chatting about Envy games, so that's the most anticipated games for 2025. We're all about the hotness here, so let's bring in our old buddies Steve and Verla. What's up?
Hello, DJ and Alex.
Sweet. I didn't even think of that. That was
you gotta go with it.
We got the gang back together. Okay, so Alex, we were talking Envy games for 2025. You've got one. What's that game that you're looking forward to playing here in 2025?
So, and I will be clear, looking forward to playing is accurate. So for folks who don't know, I'm based in St. Louis, Missouri. And the one bit of gaming I consistently get, it's not a regular game night at my house. It's nothing like that. I go to Jamie Stegmeier's. He's based here in St. Louis in a lovely part of town. Won't say exactly where, but I play in his game night every other week. And it does not mean, by the way, that I have played the hot Stonemaier games before they're released. I have not in any situation. I almost never have I played a game of his before significant reviews have come out about it. I played FINSPAN, which we'll talk about a little bit later, a couple of days before the embargo lifted, because it just happened to overlap with that. So the game I have in mind, though, is a game that I have not played. I have physically seen a prototype of, but I'm not spoiling anything. There's nothing to spoil. Everything I'll talk about is publicly up on the STONEMAIER Games website. The game is called Vantage, and it's a rogue. They've kind of thrown away the term roguelike because it's not procedurally generated. It's not exactly a roguelike, but it's meant to kind of invoke that sort of video game roguelike experience where the level feels different or the game feels different every time, but it's not a campaign game. It's a game that iterates and builds every time you play it. It's called Vantage because each player is in a different part of the world and has a different perspective on what they're seeing. So it's a cooperative game, and it's a game that gets around a bit of the alpha gamer thing by making it so that you can only see your slice of whatever world, of whatever part of the world. You have your own actions that are available to you.
You could be in different parts of the world and the other players in a different complete section, right?
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So as much as someone might try an alpha game or try and have priorities, they can't see what you're seeing. It's specific information just to you. And the idea being, as you play, the game isn't a campaign game. It doesn't repeat. It doesn't build on itself necessarily, except your knowledge of the world has built on itself. You know a little bit more about a different slice that you might not play with this next time. So I'm incredibly excited for this. This is my favorite genre of video game, whether it be a game like a Balatro or Tape to Tape or I'm trying to think of some of the classic roguelikes, but you get the idea. And this is the kind of game that I really enjoy, and I'm excited to see it implemented in board game form.
When he announced it, I was kind of excited about it too. There was one thing that kind of scared me was something like 1,200 cards. Luckily, we have you here, and I'm assuming you memorized them all. So
yeah, of course,
you can give us a little info.
I want to be crystal clear. I have no inside information. I have zero knowledge of anything in the pipeline, anything whatever. But I happen to have some adjacency to that company still. So
the idea of writing, and so as everyone in the chat knows, Alex, you used to shepherd some of these Kickstarter projects. You saw the behind the scenes and play testing over at Gray Fox Games. Holy cow, 1,200 cards. That just seems like a nightmare, right?
Yeah. To answer the question Timey had in the chat, he asked if 4 or more players is required to play. The time I have seen it played, I believe they were testing it with 3 at the time. So I don't think so. I think it can
up to 4.
And generally the way StoneMaier tries to design games, they tend to have them all be soloable in almost any case, I think, and all the way up to 5 or 6. But it's part of their philosophy to not have it be locked into a set player count, is my experience of the games.
Now that you said it, is it? If this is a 4-player game, it would be the first one I've ever seen him do, because he likes the 5. Nope, there it is. It says 1 to 6 players. Okay,
yeah,
that's kind of that
StoneMaier
that's
philosophy. Yeah,
that's his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
How about you guys? Any interest in Vantage? Do you know anything about it?
Don't know anything about it, but first thing to say is Alex talking about, well, when I was over at Jamie's is kind of like the cinema enthusiast saying, well, I was in Tribeca with Bobby De Niro and having a little bit of dinner.
Let's have lunch with Bobby De Niro.
Way to drop those, Alex.
1 to 6
It does
players.
sound interesting to me, that concept of different vantage points and an unfolding of the world, maybe not a campaign, but the world kind of building out as you expand your knowledge of it.
Yeah, haven't you like crash landed on the planet? Isn't that what it is? But you're
I think that's the theme. Yeah, it's something in that vein. Yeah.
So you're intrigued, Steve?
I'm intrigued. I mean, but when you're saying 1,200 cards, that is daunting. I'd be interested to give it a go.
What about you, Verla? Something interesting?
The cover's really pretty. I always like pretty art, but you compared it to video games, which I'm not a video gamer at all, unless you go back old school to like Tetris and Donkey Kong Country.
Right.
So that it doesn't really pull me in.
This is Donkey Kong Country though, but with a sci-fi aspect. How's that?
Sci-fi, maybe.
Maybe.
But my friend Erica works for StoneMaier, and she's here in Oregon with me a few hours away, so I'm sure she will have a copy that I can try at some point.
That's cool.
I was not interested until Jamie did some descriptions of it and said, hey, look, you're going to play this. It's not necessarily a campaign game. It's a set it up. You play through the 2 hour, whatever thing it is. And then the next time you play, it's a different experience. That's the kind of games I do like. So I don't have the pressure of, oh man, I've got 15 hours. Because unfortunately, my shelf right there has 2 games that I still haven't finished yet. You know what I mean? So one of them I haven't even started yet. So the idea of another campaign game, I wasn't at. But a 1-box campaign game, sort of like Near and Far, where you just play it and play as many times as you want to, and you don't have to play everything. I'm intrigued by that. I was intrigued enough to where I bought the coins. Jamie had the coins on sale and had a sale on the sale of coins, and they're cool little computer sci-fi type coins.
Oh, I
which
think you
match
showed a
with a lot of
picture
the
a
games
minute
I played.
ago.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I think you showed a picture a minute
The
ago.
interlocking ones.
I
Yeah.
did. Those are the coins. Yeah.
Yeah,
let me
look
see.
cool.
Yeah, that's the ones
Oh,
right there.
okay.
So we played a game, a sci-fi game the other day, and I've drawn a blank as what we played, but I forget. Oh, it was Underwater Cities. So I was like, oh, forget the little cardboard chips. We're going to play with the Vantage coins. And it worked out perfect.
Heck yeah.
I like playing with thematic coins. So
Nice.
Vantage, I think that's a good Envy game. I've got one if you guys are interested.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
for it.
Go for it.
Mine is one that I don't think we've talked about on the show, and I'm going to pull it up real quick. But mine is one from our friends at Fort Circle Games. We had them on the show when we talked to Tori Brown about Votes for Women.
Votes for Women.
And I own it. And I like that game, but first Monday, October, for obvious reasons, but not, and some of them not so obvious. I am super excited about first Monday in October. That is a game all about, let me see if I can pull up a copy of it.
That's
That is a
Supreme
game
Court
all about the Supreme Court, where they've got the breadth of all the Supreme Court justices, and they have all these court cases that are coming through, and you're trying to garner enough votes to get those cases decided one way or the other.
Huh.
So I'm thinking, sort of that, what's that you guys reviewed the game that I have back here, the Lawyer Up, thinking
Sure.
Okay.
better version of Lawyer Up maybe, or the back and forth tug of war like Votes for Women or any of the other 2-player games like that. Like, I don't know, but I'm intrigued by first Monday in October to the point that I actually backed it. So is that something you guys are thinking about? Interested?
This is the first time I've heard about this one as well.
Look at that cover, by the way. Look
Yeah.
at that cover, man.
Very
Isn't that a cool
stunning.
cover?
Very eye-catching.
Being on the Fort Circle Discord, you see a lot about this. You see a lot about their upcoming games. Fort Circle has my attention. If they put something out, it is going to have a historical bent. It's going to have something worth reading up and learning about, but it's also going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Look, so it's got a lot of tracks. It's track-to-track game, at least when you're looking at it this way. And I like tracks. But I really like the way Kevin Bertram from Fort Circle Games produces his games, Alex. And I know we shouldn't care about this, but one of the things that's nice about his games when they're sitting on your shelf, like, I like showing them to people. When you open up Votes for Women, there's not like, Philip Millman did this awesome section in the rule book of Watergate, where he gave the whole history of Watergate. And it's awesome. But it's a little box and a little rule book.
Yeah.
When you open up Votes for Women, you're going to get 23, I think it is, or 28 separate pieces of historical memorabilia that talks about the suffragette movement. And the same thing with First Monday in October. Same thing with all of his different games. You'll have like, I forgot the one with the
Shores of Tripoli.
Shores of Tripoli. You had like a letter from Jefferson to the Barbary Pirates. I mean, it's all recreated as identical things. And he stuffs the box full with this stuff.
Yeah.
The box is one of the thicker boxes you've ever seen. It's sturdy. All the pieces are chunky. It just looks, it's got a table presence that is amazing. So
Does it come with a gavel?
it does not.
Ooh.
What game is it that does come with a gavel though? And we had it at Chuck-Con.
Modern Art. Dean's Korean
Poetry
version
for
of Modern Art.
Neanderthals, but it had the.
Yeah, that's a little different.
I know.
Yeah, that's
But he
different.
said we played it at ChatCon.
I
What
would
else did
pay.
we play
I
at
would pay
ChatCon
money
that
to
had
see.
something like that?
I would totally pay money to see Elena Kagan hold an inflatable club and
Smacking on people.
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, that Korea board games edition of Modern Art that Dean brought us, because I have the regular version of Modern Art. I've seen the Simon version of Modern Art. We've seen all these things. He's got this amazing thing, Alex. It's gorgeous.
Yep.
Not as nice as the Oink Games version of Stamps, which is one of my Grail games. But
still looking for it. I'm still keeping an eye out for you. There's no luck, but that's the one you want.
I did see somebody, and I can't remember, but somebody posted on social media
just recently.
Who was that? Somebody posted that they played it. They were at a work party, and somebody I just can't remember. I saw that.
Yeah.
So that's mine. What about anybody else interested in First Monday in October?
You look at that. You're presenting it like it looks like Beyond the Sun. So you're going beyond the court with this. You've got you've got tech trees, but it's going to be legal.
Alex, that's why we call him the Name Father, because he does it every night, man.
I know.
That's what it is. That's what he does. So First Monday in October. Are you interested? Jokes aside.
I'm interested. Yep, it looks cool. I would add that the first thing that came to mind, and I'm sure this is not the mechanic, but was a King's Dilemma style thing where you are all individually Supreme Court justices trying to sway a case. Could be an interesting, completely different game. Not this game, but just a thought.
I don't remember. I shouldn't say. I was going to say I thought it was a 2-player game, but honestly, I don't remember. Let's go to the BGG page.
It's
it says 1 to 4 players.
Yeah, I don't think it's just a pure 2-player tug of war on this.
Yeah.
Huh. So I would imagine what's happening is you're probably a weight of 3.0. That's a little bit higher than the normal Fort Circle game. But I would imagine with 1 to 4 players, you're controlling different justices, and so maybe blocks of voting.
Coalitions. Coalitions on that. Yeah, that could be interesting.
You could see it. Some I'm looking at. So, does anybody have an Ongvi game? An anticipated game for 2025 that you're excited about? Anybody?
Verla?
I'm so out of the loop right now on what's coming out.
Closest I come to one is that I did back the Discworld RPG.
Oh,
and that should be hopefully coming out sometime in 25.
Discworld RPG. I was watching Ben Maddox from 5 Games for Doomsday has been playing Ankh Morporth, which I know is a game that you either have, right?
That's one that I have. It's one that Kelly has. It's if you're a fan of the world, that basically gives you every single character you'd want on a card to just before you play it, just laugh at it and then play it. Because it's kind of like you're reliving the books.
Alex, have you ever played that one?
No.
Morporth? What about Nancy Narking, the other version of it, with the kind of the
Victorian?
I would say Victorian, I guess theme, right? Nope. Okay.
I will say, I thought of something I can throw out there. I won't say this is quite an Envy game because I don't know. We've talked about this in our chat, but I'm not big on co-op. I've avoided Pandemic because I just have zero interest. But Pandemic, Lord of the Rings version.
Oh,
yes.
That has me intrigued. Just because I love
what is
Lord
that
of the
one
Rings,
called? Do you know?
it's not called Pandemic Lord of the Rings.
It's not. There's not Pandemic in the title.
Oh no, I'm never going to
know what I
find
was
it now.
talking about.
Yeah.
You know exactly what you're talking about.
The
It was Fate of the
Confrontation?
Fellowship.
Fate
Lord
of
of
the
the Rings,
Fellowship?
Fate of the Fellowship, I think.
Okay.
I'm not pulling it up on BGG.
It's. I think if you're looking at it, if you just go to the front page, I think it's 1 on the hot list.
Probably.
Oh no, that's the.
You're thinking of the trick taking one?
No, I was thinking of Trick Taker. Yeah, you're right. This is the
I am
Pandemic
interested in the
version.
trick-taking
All
one,
right.
but this one.
So we got
I'm
it.
also
Lord of the
like,
Rings, Fate of the Fellowship. What is intriguing you about it? Because that's not normally your kind of game, right? You're not.
It's
that big of
not
a
at
co-op.
all, but I can really see it being very thematic with Lord of the Rings, which I love. One of my favorite games from this past year was Lord of the Rings Duel, and just because it was so thematic in the gameplay and everything, really made me like that game a whole lot more than just the Seven Wonders Duel version. So I'm really curious to see how they incorporate the theme into this. And you've got a fellowship, the Fellowship of the Ring. I could get on board with co-op. Being part of the
I was
Fellowship of the Ring.
super impressed with the dual version. I mean, wow, that was. I mean, I've only played it once, but I really enjoyed it. Have you played that yet, Alex?
I've not. There was oddly enough one of the weeks I
there.
missed at Jamie's. There was a tournament of that game
Cool.
that you were talking about that they were trying to run. So no, I haven't played it yet.
Now in that game, it's Vincent Dutrait art, which is different from anything else I've ever seen, and is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, when you look at the characters, you're like, oh my god, that really is who the characters are. Right. That being said, I'm looking at this art here in the Pandemic version. And this, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just gorgeous stuff. Let me see if I can center you on there. I mean, everybody looks like who you think they should be. But this art reminds me the Rankin and Bass. Wasn't that
Ralph
the name
Bakshi, the old 70s cartoon movie, right?
Exactly. The Rankin and Bass cartoon movie of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Remember those things? Look at this art. It does kind of look like them.
That looks fun. I haven't actually looked this up yet. I've just heard the buzz about it. I haven't seen pictures till now.
It's got a dice tower.
Is this an Eye of Sauron dice tower?
It's an Eye of Sauron Barad-dûr dice tower.
Wow. Oh, this thing's going to sell.
Yeah, I'm very interested.
Copies.
They're printing money.
I'm hooked.
Wow.
I'm kind of hooked here.
Okay. I don't want to say I'm pandemicked out because there's a lot of pandemics. And actually, Iberia is one I've always wanted to play. I never got to play it. But this one, I'm intrigued by this. This is one I would probably want to play. I'm intrigued by that. What about you, Alex?
I maybe I'm pandemicked out. I don't know. It didn't grab me as much as some of the other ones, but it looks like it's beautiful, and it's definitely a license to print money. They're going to make a lot of money on this game, no matter what. So
Agreed.
the I've Sword on Dice Tower was really a cool touch, though.
That looked cool.
Well, that's a great choice. I was not expecting that. Was a good choice. Good call. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Alex Goldsmith, the former host, emeritus host of the Dukes of Dice, and formerly from Grey Fox Games, our old buddy.
Host, yeah,
the host with the mostest. But he's here to talk about a game that I'm super excited about. I never bought Wormspan, although I played it and I liked it. But I actually have backed and I've ordered a copy of this particular game. But Alex, you've already got to play it. I
have. Yeah, this was at game night a little bit ago. Go ahead. Yeah.
I want you to tell me what this game is about and pretend like I've never played the game.
Oh boy.
Well, no, you don't have to pretend.
You want me to tell you the story of this game?
I don't know. I was just like setting you up for something there.
I don't know what you were setting me up for, but I didn't pick it up.
Pretend like I'm a fifth grader and explain to me this game.
Exactly. Okay. Well, there once was a place called the ocean where there lived a bunch of fish. And those fish swam around and they swam around and they swam around some more. And then you made more fish and different fish. And some of those fish ate other fish.
This is even better than I'd expected, Steve.
Your good night stories, your nighttime stories, Alex.
Yeah.
Just chef's kiss.
Oh, the next time I'm having trouble falling asleep and he's putting Ruby and Harriet to bed, just FaceTime with us if you don't mind, Alex. Just
Ruby, by the way, is snuggled up with Squish Blanket, as she calls her blanket, and a cat that she made at school from sort of a knockoff Build-A-Bear. Build-A-Bear is based in St. Louis, but this wasn't Build-A-Bear.
I didn't know that.
A little cat, little white cat that she named Lorax. So she has Lorax the cat and Squish Blanket are her two best stuffed animal friends or stuffed comfort things right now.
I don't know, Steve. You've got some competition for name fodder.
I approve.
All right.
We might be looking at the
most of her names are like Bobo and No and sometimes just so.
How old is she now, Alex?
She's 3 years old and change. She turned 3 at the end of right around Halloween last year, which is her birthday.
Yep. So. Just Alex, remember these things. Write these things down.
Oh, we have yes. Oh yeah.
Have yourself a little list because we've got that with what our son did the exact same thing when he had his little animals and he had Brownish, Whitish, and Franklin.
Okay.
Of course he did. Of course you did.
I can't wait to look at the YouTube transcript when it goes Bobo, No, and I want to see
Brownish, Whitish.
What does it come up with on the? We'll see.
My wife still has her teddy bear from when she was growing up, Zozo, which was very cool seeing Ruby snuggle with Zozo. What's great right now at this age, by the way, is she's starting to get into her little sister. So she's trying to make her laugh and make silly noises and
that's cool.
Trying to teach her how to walk, even though she's only 9 months old. So it's not happening yet. But they're definitely kind of building that bond a little bit, which is nice to see.
That's cool.
Hold on to those moments. Speaking of holding on, what about this fish game, FINSPAN?
Yeah, FINSPAN. So you've been showing some lovely pictures of it this whole time. So this is in the Wingspan universe. It is not designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, though I think she had some a development role in the game and in the project. The way I kind of make this comparison is if you think of Wingspan as sort of your base average or your middle of some sort of scale, Wormspan was the older brother of Wingspan in a sense, a little more complicated, a few more mechanics, definitely more geared towards the hobby community, especially thematically. FINSPAN, it's not Wingspan Junior, but it's definitely like a younger cousin. Okay. So it's a lighter game. It's a more streamlined game in a way, but it has its own kind of unique puzzle. So as you can kind of see on the screen in this one picture here, you have a board divided into 3 columns. So you have, and I don't know the names of these individual columns, and then you have rows that are zones. So I think it goes something like 3, 1, 2, or something in that vein. But basically you have sort of this row and column grid. And the spacing on the board, that's perfect. Yeah, that shows it exactly right. So each of those zones, both in and out, so kind of columns and rows, are possible restrictions on where you could play any given fish. So as an example, on the right-hand side of some of the cards, there will be the pattern that matches either that sort of green ribbony pattern or that purple ribbony pattern or that blue one that says you can only play this fish in this specific column. And then they have on the left side of the card iconography that indicates how high up in the zone you can play it. So some fish you can play anywhere, some fish you can play lower down, higher up.
Wow, this
so
is deeper than I thought.
Yeah, there's some depth to the placement rules for sure.
Yeah, that was poorly worded. I don't mean deeper as in deeper in terms of thing. The changes are deeper than I thought. This is not just a rebranded Wingspan.
No. For all of the discussion of, hey, this is just another reskin or this is a clone or whatever. No, this is definitely its own game. Now, where it has some mechanical similarities are, right, the different kinds of fish, the art, the size of the fish matters. They have certain abilities when they trigger at different points. Sometimes there will be abilities that trigger for you and for everyone else when they trigger. The abilities in general are not mean. Wingspan doesn't have a lot of mean abilities. I think they have a couple, but it's not a huge part of the game. It's not a wildly mean game.
I was thinking like Oceans, because Oceans can be really mean.
Well, that whole system is intended to be pretty go at each other.
Right.
The only cases where you're having fish devouring other fish are your fish devouring other fish.
Okay.
So if you take a look at this setup, if you stay on this image here, the left side of the board is your hand, which is public. So those are fish that you are eligible to play out to your board. They have costs that might be other fish or eggs or something in that, or discarding fish. The right-hand side, which they don't have any cards in this moment, those are fish that are
look at the one
personal.
Look at the player above, has some cards on the right side. Is that what you're talking about?
I think that's still on the left side because I think the board's flipped upside down.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay though. But if you would have cards that move from the left side, which is your hand, to the right side, which is the discard pile. It's your own personal discard pile. And so you have cards that are in circulation for you and you alone as you go.
Is it like a personal deck that you have, or this is
not
still...
a personal? No, it's a shared deck that you're all drawing from. But unlike Wingspan, which has, say, a display of cards that you might, I can pick here, or I can go blind. This is just the fish you can. It's just a hand. Think of it as an open hand and an open discard pile, because there are certain abilities that let you resurrect fish from the discard pile back into your hand, as an example. But you sort of have your own different, your own unique, not economy, ecosystem in that sense.
Okay.
So hope that gives you a sense of that. But action-wise, so the top action lets you play cards, pay the cost, put them somewhere you're eligible to play. They can go on top of other fish if they're larger than the fish they're quote-unquote eating. Some fish are inherently carnivorous and kind of go for that anyway. And then each of the columns, when you activate the column, the diver goes down and activates the cards a la Wingspan. That's how it feels most similar, right? You activate each card top moving down.
Rather than across.
Exactly it. Yeah, imagine those columns are more like the rows in Wingspan. And
yes.
Okay.
But unlike Wingspan and Wormspan, where you have to always build left to right, my first fish could be at the very bottom of that column.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
So is it like Wingspan, just in terms of the cards, like a different fish on every card and like little educational tidbits about it too?
Exactly it. Yes. Yeah. That has the same kind of little fact at the bottom. You can see it in some of these cards. It has a tail size, which indicates a different type of thing. There's card types at the top. But yes, it's very much meant to be, much like Wingspan is semi-educational about birds. This is semi-educational about fish in that whole world.
Cool.
Now, having fish in different zones is helpful for several reasons. One, if you have a fish in a designated zone, you get the bonus of that column. And much like in Wingspan, where, say, this row helps me lay a bunch of eggs. This row helps me get a bunch of cards. This row helps me get a bunch of resources. Each of those columns has a different theme of something that it's good at.
Specialty that it's doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
The first time you activate, you can activate in around a column as many times as you feel like. Only the first one that you activate in a column each round gets a bonus action that's printed on the bottom of each of those columns. You can't see it here quite. It's just kind of cut off on the bottom of the screen there. No, not quite. There. So sort of. So this person has already used their action in the first column because they're blocking it.
Okay.
Broadly speaking, the resources are much more streamlined. So unlike Wingspan, where there are a bunch of different types of resources you're going for, the resources in this game are fish, eggs, I should say first eggs, then fish, schools of fish, cards, and that might effectively be it. I might be missing something.
Okay.
But it's not like 6 different types of
Okay.
different bird food that these things might be looking
And I
at.
don't see the little dice drop feed or anything like that.
There's no
mechanic
dice.
like that?
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
not a thing. And it's because the resource, as mentioned, this is a simpler, more streamlined, faster playing game.
Yeah.
You don't have that kind of resource complexity that you have in Wingspan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about next. Because if Wormspan added things like the guild and such, what
Yes.
is FinSpan subtracting? And it sounds like it's simplifying resources.
Yep.
And
opening up the board.
and opening up the board so that there's more freedom to place in some
A
way.
little bit more freedom and less freedom, depending, because some of these fish are pretty restrictive and they can only
Okay.
go in this zone, but
Okay.
it's not universal, right?
So you can go anywhere so long as the card allows it. So it's a little
Exactly.
it's on rails in some ways, but it's a little bit freer in others.
And it's thematic. It's based on where that fish might be.
I
in
love the
ocean.
idea of depth as being the change.
As a spatial
Um,
component. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's cool.
that's more than just a turning of the board. That's a thematic change.
Mhm.
I like
We kind
that.
of got that a little bit with Wormspan from the aspect that you were trying to get deeper into the cave so
had to
that you could
explore the
trigger those
cave
little
first,
you
right?
could trigger those little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to build
But
that.
what's interesting here is there's a spatial puzzle. So
Hmm.
a big component to how you score points in this game is getting schools of fish and moving fish around to create them. So
Are you
eggs
referring
touching
to that
fish.
top right hand corner thing, or that's something different?
No, top right hand corner. Well, that's kind of. It's a round bonus. So there's a
Okay.
base round bonus. That appears to be it. Yeah. So that'll say at the end of round 1, for every egg or young, basically egg or fish that you have, you'll score a point per. It's an end of round bonus.
Okay.
The second one is number of rows that have 3 fish across, I believe. And then the third round is schools of fish. So as you move fish around, if you ever get to a point, so eggs, you can only have 1 egg per space, but fish can share the same space. So if I ever get 3 fish gathered in one spot, that becomes a school, which is a pretty significant scoring component to this game.
In place of tucking.
Exactly.
that's
Well,
it.
tucking happens too, though. So
Oh.
you can have fish that are carnivorous fish that consume other fish that are smaller.
Got it.
And
But
so
you don't
that
have
adds
the
a tucking
you
element.
don't have the egg drop that goes on in a lot of the early Wingspan games where somebody just spams the eggs the last round. You can only put 1 egg per card, right?
1 egg per card, but I mean, that's still a lot of cards you might be filling up. And
Yeah.
there might be something, one of the abilities I had in my game was every fish you have in the middle row gets an egg at the end of the game.
Ah,
So you're
okay.
incentivized to clear those of eggs or spend those eggs to try and set it up so that
You
you
can get some more
have
points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Schools
Hey,
of fish.
Those
get
goals
less.
that you talked about, do they change from game to game, or they're kind of the same?
So the one that they show there is the base set of goals. There are a set of goals that are changeable that you can have. So that would be the one you might use for your first game, and then you can use different goal sets for other games. So
Yeah.
locked in.
I like ocean themed games already. I loved Oceans when it came out, and we used to play it all the time. So I instantly back, even though the dragon theme is right up my alley, but everybody here in the Gumbo, there's like 2 or 3 guys that bought it right away. So anytime I want to play it, I can play it. But this one I had to back. I love the artwork. I love the fact that it's going to be a little bit, I don't want to say simpler, just a little more streamlined is what I mean to say. I kind of got rid of most of my Wingspan stuff because we went the other way. We were like, I'd rather just play the base game of Wingspan without all the other stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can see it.
So I'm kind of excited about this. How many games have you gotten so far? Just that one?
Just describing it off the one play. But the benefit you have of being in that game group is if you show up at the right night, he will bring copies for his friends. So I have a copy. It's upstairs
nice.
somewhere. So
And on the famous Dukes of Dice 12-point scale, where would this be?
12-point scale. Yeah, right. I said based score wise, if I were scoring this for the show, it would be somewhere between a 4 and a 5. I'd be wanting to get more plays. To
Split,
understand where
the
exactly
dreaded
what
split rating.
No, it's a
Yeah,
strong
well,
4. It's a
off of
strong.
one play, I can give you a 4.5. But I think it's a game that I'm more likely to play than Wingspan because it's It's equally a good entry point thematically for folks who are non-gamers, but it's simpler from a resource management perspective, from a gameplay perspective. Not so much so that, again, that it feels like a junior version or will be uninteresting to gamers, but more so that it'll be accessible to folks who are newer to playing. So this would be one that if I were to introduce a SPAN game to someone, I would probably start with this one first.
Okay, this is not a requirement for everybody, but in a Tableau game, what I'm looking for, so this is just personal. This is not like a rating or anything. What I'm looking for is combos, because that's what I like to do when I play a Tableau game. Do they have that here?
Oh yeah. Well, because you're building, much like in Wingspan, you're building a chain of actions that you want to activate. And there's some diminishing returns to spamming it. It's not like Wingspan where you start with a bunch of turns and then it kind of decreases in number of turns as you go. It's the same number of flat turns each round.
Interesting.
But it's not so many turns that you feel like someone's just turning the engine and turning the engine and turning the engine and turning the engine. It feels like there's momentum to it. So yeah.
It seems like all of the spans have a somewhat modular system that you can have. This is going to be here, and then this is going to have a wrinkle, but we're still going to have the idea of 3 columns or rows. We're still going to have the idea of your bonuses that are guiding you. And so it may not be anything that you think is earth-shattering and new, but it's more than just a skin. It is a revision of the system that makes a new game.
It's much like a new Azul feels like a different game from.
That's a great comparison.
Oh, that's a good example. Yeah,
that's a great.
They feel like they're in the same family, but they're not the same game. It's not
the 4 Azuls that I've played, maybe 5, because I think I did play the chocolate one. All of them do feel like Azul, but just different. You know, like not the same.
Right.
But they, for some reason, they have that connection. Probably because Michael
Kiesling. Yeah, Kiesling's running through it.
Yeah, because he's running through it. So, because my favorite one is the one with the little star pieces. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, Summer Pavilion.
Yeah,
that's my
that was
favorite.
great.
Yeah,
I love that one.
Super. I love that, and it feels like Azul, but it's not Azul at all. You know,
exactly.
I don't know how he does it. It's the magic of those designs. So, well, that's FINSPAN from STONEMAIER Games. I was hoping to get mine in time for the show, but I know he's kind of got a lot of orders to put through. It sold thousands of them. Oh, look, there's the Brant checking in. I agree with you. But I always say the Queen's Garden feels like Azul if it went to Princeton and triple majored in computer science, molecular biology, and philosophy. Because it just melts. I played it twice, and it freaking melts my brain, man.
Same here. 2 times, total melt everywhere. I gave it to my friend. I was like, I can't do this. This is not the way I like to melt my brain.
Yeah, it's just I'm sorry, man. I love those games, but it's a little bit too much. Maybe if I played it more and I got used to it. I don't know.
Same majors as me.
Right, the brand. Hey,
good
trick. So that's FINSPAN. You can get it from STONEMAIER, and Alex has played it. I'm gonna let you guys know. We're gonna try to stream it as soon as it comes in. So I'm excited. And I did get the squishies for it, sort of like Harriet's little thing. I got the squishies.
Oh.
Do you know what those are?
Stuffies or something?
No, it comes with what you saw there, just a little square piece of cardboard representing the eggs.
Oh,
but of course, Jamie's happy to sell you the little squishy. It's the same kind of squishies that are in
Honey Buzz.
Is it? Yeah, Honey Buzz. That's it. Okay. That same kind of texture.
Instead of little Cadbury eggs, you've got the wooden ones. You've got now squishy ones.
You got the little squishy eggs.
They're like little salmon roe. They look like kind of like salmon roe on a sushi.
Yeah.
But if you played Honey Buzz, it's a really cool little texture to it. Yeah. What's the other one? Tidal Blades also has the little berries that have that little texture.
Everdell. Everdell berries.
Everdell has it also. Yeah, Everdell has it also. But the oranges in Tidal Blades also is like that too. They have that little squishy texture.
Great walkthrough, Alex. Great walkthrough.
Yeah, man, that was great.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
That was great. I mean, even though I've never played it, I feel like I played it.
Yeah.
You haven't, but that's okay.
That's what it felt like.
Soon.
You know, this is a board game show, Alex. You know what that means, right?
No.
We got to play a board game. We got to play a game.
A board game specifically.
Well, we're going to play a game. It's not necessarily a game.
All right.
So we have a game that we've been playing all season because we are going to just beat that dead horse as much as we can and be as lazy as we can.
Verla's already shaking her head.
Wait, did that come out loud?
Gotta go, guys.
I meant to say, because it's been such a popular game, it's called the Did You Know game. KNEAUX, of course.
Yeah.
The Did You Know game.
Yeah.
This particular one, though, and we try to steer it for the guest. So welcome to Did You Know, Alex? Hockey edition.
Oh.
The hockey edition. Okay. So it's going to start with some questions.
Verla is saying it's not did you know, it's did you? Oh, hell no.
The great thing about this game is you don't have to know the answers. We're going to ask you trivia questions, but what you have to do is sell the other players that you know the answer. You got to sell it, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you don't have the answer, just fake it. Fake it till you make it, okay?
But might I know the answer?
You might know the answer, which is great.
Right.
Okay.
So, Steve, how does the scoring work?
BJ makes stuff up.
Mhm.
That's how the scoring works.
So,
how it goes.
for instance, Alex is going to take the first turn. Alex is going to give an answer. If he's right, he gets a point. If you say he's right and he's right, you get a point. But if you disagree with Alex and you're right, you get 2 points.
Oh.
Alex, if you're wrong, you get konoyo, no points. No points at all. Oh, I want to see how YouTube does konoyo. That'll be fun too.
Dangerous with the transcription.
Okay, so do you have any questions about how this game's work? I've got 4 questions, so the 3 of you will each get a turn, and then we'll go back to one more at the end.
You're not going to say up front you have 4 questions that you asked ChatGPT?
At the end of the game, for the final round, we're going to do a ChatGPT inspired one. So,
Oh, no.
You're going to love that. All right, so are we ready? Any questions about the game? And the chat crew can play along.
Absolutely.
So keep track of your score, chat crew. So, Alex, did you know that famous hockey players actually went to St. Louis for high school? Did you know that? I'm going to give you a list of names, and you tell me what famous hockey player went to high school in St. Louis. 5 names. First one, Pat LaFontaine. Second one, yes, LeBrant.
Yes.
That was my question too.
The second one is Brett Hull. The third one is Matthew Tkachuk.
Mhm.
The fourth one is Chris Pronger. And the fifth one is Alex Goldsmith. 5 famous hockey players. One of them went to high school in St. Louis. I actually know where Alex went to high school, so
Yeah.
it's not that one.
Without spoiling whether that's a right answer or not, I will mention that I do play. One of the hobbies that sort of replaced board gaming is late night beer league hockey, which I play at a reasonably low level, but have a lot of fun doing. That's the new addiction. Don't pick that one. I'm supposed to give the answer though, correct?
You're
Yeah,
supposed
you
to
think
give an
about it,
answer
and
and
then
talk
you
us
give us
into
the
why
answer.
you think is right.
I
And
mean,
so you know, hockey is also called ice ball. I think it's kind of the same thing.
Here's the thing. I'm reasonably confident in this one for a number of reasons.
Mhm.
I don't know about where LaFontaine went. Brett Hull, famous blue, absolutely not born and raised here.
Mhm.
Who else did you have? Give me the other
Tkachuk.
ones. I have Matthew Tkachuk. Who else?
Chris Pronger.
Chris Pronger. Famous blue. I think still has a home in St. Louis.
I mean, I was trying to throw you off with a bunch of
Not a
famous
thing.
St. Louis Blues, right?
It's not me. It is Matthew Tkachuk. He and his brother Brady Tkachuk, both high school in St. Louis. In fact, Matthew Tkachuk actually was in high school with what's his name on the Celtics, a guy who just won a title, big star on the Celtics. They both won a championship the same year. Matthew Tkachuk won the Stanley Cup.
Jason, maybe?
I don't know. It's not
Jason
him.
Tatum?
Jason Tatum. That's it.
Tatum.
Yeah, they both won a championship the same year. Their father works for the Blues, played as a Blue. They both grew up here. Blues fans would go absolutely bananas if either of them ever played here. Those jerseys would sell out in a minute.
Mhm.
But the answer is Matthew Tkachuk, and as confident as you can get.
I mean, he's convincing me, but does he convince the Brant and Steve and Berla? That's pretty convincing, but I don't know. He's also a pretty good coup player, man. So it's up to you
I don't
guys.
get any points if I get it wrong. Why? I don't have any incentive to lie.
Oh, wait.
I'm going to give it to him.
Verla says yes.
I say
Berla
yes.
says yes. Okay. So she's going for
I'm
one
going to
point.
say yes too because the Tkachuks are a family, and I think if you were in hockey and in a hockey city, you probably had kids who went to school in a hockey city. I don't think it's Pat LaFontaine. I'm an Islanders fan. I don't think LaFontaine was anywhere near St. Louis.
That's why I threw that one in for you. Just to,
Yeah. I'm going to agree with Alex. I before he even said it, that's where I was leaning to.
He's voting for Puck.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, Verla, you say yes.
I said
Steve
yes.
says yes. Alex
Mhm.
says Matthew. And the pride of Chaminade High School, Chaminade Prep School in St. Louis, Matthew Kachuk.
Yep.
And yes, a teammate of Jason Tatum. Very good, Alex. Wow, that's great.
Alex is even getting in your bonus flavor text in the extra
Yes.
cards and stuff. Yeah.
I didn't know Chaminade specifically offhand, but
Keith
I'm
did
not a
not-
local either.
Keith did not actually go to high school there, but spent so much time in St. Louis that Matthew actually went to high school there.
How,
So, yeah.
Alex, how far is that down Farty Far?
I don't know what that
I
is.
don't what.
I don't know what that was.
I will throw out here, by the way, Wayne Gretzky, who very, very briefly played with the Blues, still has a house here. So a lot of former players, big hockey playing community. Ruby is just starting to skate.
Nice.
I wouldn't say she's enjoying it just yet, but she's starting to try at least. So
Can I shift gears on you?
anyway.
Did
What?
you guys, we had a snowstorm here in Louisiana for the first
Yeah,
time.
you did. That was
in
wild.
100
Yeah.
years, right? But did you see the shots of, because Alex, you just went to New Orleans
Bourbon
a year
Street,
or two ago.
right?
Yeah, did you see the shots of the hockey player on Bourbon Street?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
No.
That was actually
Crazy.
not the Blue Jackets, but back when they were an ECHL team, he played for the Columbus team
Oh,
and settled here in New Orleans because New Orleans also had an ECHL team, and apparently he was doing some kind of minor league work since then.
Very
But
cool.
when Bourbon Street froze over, he put on the skates and started
That's
and
incredible.
organized a little quick hockey game. So that's something you will not see again. By the way, that's gonna be a long time. That is amazing. All right, Steve, it's your turn.
All right.
That's a good, very good, Alex.
Very
man.
nice, Alex.
Like the
Things
way you
you'd
worked
never
it.
think you'd see in New Orleans. Pickup shinny game. You wouldn't expect.
yeah.
All right. So Steve, staying with hockey.
Go
Who
for it.
said the following?
Mm.
No hints on this one. You just got to come up with the name. Yeah, 6 inches. I got 10 and a half at my house, the Brant. 10 and a half. That's amazing. And it stayed till Sunday, from Tuesday to Sunday. Never had that happen. All right. So
Like an annoying family member.
It just wouldn't go
stayed
away.
from Tuesday until Sunday.
by the way, snow is awesome for the first 3 hours. And after that, I was done. Like
Yeah.
totally done.
Mhm.
And we're watching, my wife and I watching Emily in Paris. And during the YouTube break, we're watching the LSU basketball game. During the YouTube TV break, they kept showing it's one of those things where they don't have a local commercial. So they show you some local scenes, these
Mhm.
nice quiet scenes. And the scenes were always of snow things, I guess, because it's wintertime. And I was like, I can't get away from the snow. This is ridiculous.
Please, you were sending us texts in the chat thread. What do I do with this? How do I shovel? What is that?
I
What
did
are
learn.
snow?
What?
I did
What
learn
am
that, Alex.
snow?
I didn't know that you could walk around without, like, I was in a t-shirt and it didn't burn my skin. I was
Yeah.
blown
Yeah.
away. It was
Yeah.
great. Steve, who said the following?
Okay.
I have for some time been thinking that it would be a good thing if it were a challenge cup, which should be held from year to year by the champion hockey team in the Dominion of Canada. Who said that? And if you know the backstory, let us know. Do I need to keep going or you have enough?
Yeah, no, you need to keep going.
Okay. I've got more.
Go
There
for
does
it.
not appear to be any such outward sign of a championship at present.
I know
And
the
cons-
answer.
And considering the general interest which matches now elicit,
Yes.
and the importance of having the game played fairly and under rules generally
Okay.
recognized, I'm willing to give a cup which shall be held from year to year by the winning
I'm
team.
thinking I'm picking up what ChatGPT is laying down. This would probably be the Lord Stanley.
Why do you say that?
Because the Stanley Cup is the ever-growing, at least on the base, or it's being cycled out. It's
Exactly.
always changing, evolving. It was
Yes.
growing. It's reached its max, and it's now going to figure out the different plaques get cycled. But the Stanley Cup is what is awarded to the NHL's champion team.
Burla,
And the
is
fact
Steve,
that it sounded like it was utterly pretentious makes me think that Lord Stanley would have said this.
Burla, is he telling the truth or is Steve
He is
trying to
telling
throw
the
you off?
truth.
Oh,
No.
he's telling the truth.
I've seen
Alex knows the
Stanley
answer,
Cup.
I think.
I have touched the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
Um,
Wait,
I
I've
had a
seen the
buddy who
picture, right? You took
Yeah,
a picture.
I had
with
a buddy who worked for the Blues the year
Very
they won the
cool.
cup in 2019, and everyone got some time with the cup, and he was kind enough to let me have some moments with it. No, Steve, they retire the rings as the rings around the cup.
As the ring fills, they replace a ring.
They replace
Okay.
the ring, retire it. It's on display at the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
Mhm.
But yes, I agree with Steve.
Okay. And the answer, of course, is yep, it's Lord Stanley's Cup. Congratulations. I didn't know the history of Lord Stanley's Cup at all. So it was interesting reading about Lord Stanley's history. And that brings me to my next question, which I've saved especially for Verla. So, Verla, did you know? So now you know that the Stanley Cup is named after Lord Stanley. But did you know that the National Women's Hockey League Championship Trophy is also named after one of his family members? But which one, Verla? Is
Which
it
one?
Catherine Stanley, Isabel Stanley, or Algernon Stanley?
Catherine, Isabel, or what?
Or Algernon.
Wow.
Like Flowers of Algernon, maybe? Wasn't that a book that
It was a book and a movie. Oh, Charlie was the movie.
I've heard of that before. What do you think?
What was the first one again?
Catherine Stanley, Isabel
Catherine,
Stanley,
Isabel, or that other
Algernon
word?
Stanley. And the hint that I gave you is I gave you the last name of all three of them.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think it's Isabel.
Isabel Stanley, she says.
Isabel Stanley.
Let's go to.
There's
there
Alex
it
in
is.
the cup.
He's got it.
There you
Man,
go.
we are all about the super high tech here. That is
Look
an
at
awesome
that.
picture.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Steve. Oh no, Alex, you went last time. Alex, is she telling the truth? She sounds convincing to me. Isabel Stanley.
So,
I mean, if you have
interestingly
Lord
enough,
Stanley, it sounds like he needs to marry somebody that has a
Yeah.
very royal sounding name. Although, I mean, Catherine could also fit that category,
Mhm.
but
I'm going to a PWHL game because they're traveling around the country, and so we're taking the girls to go see them when they come to St. Louis here in I think it's in March. That's when we're seeing them. So
very cool.
But I actually don't know the specific answer. But I
What?
don't think it's of the options. I don't think it's the one she put. So I will disagree. I will say no.
I'm
So
cutting the
Alex is going
tension.
no.
The tension is like a knife right now, Steve. Alex
Ooh.
diverting from. He's going for the 2 points
Ooh.
from
So
Verla.
he is going for the 2 points, which means since I don't know jack about this, I'm going to zig when Alex zags and say that Verla is right. Although they should change the name of the NHL one to the Manley Cup and then just give the Stanley Cup to the women's hockey. Trade up. And
Interesting.
This
change
is
it.
every week, Alex. Every week.
Yeah.
It's
So I'm going to
he's
say I'm
he's
going to go with
continuing.
Verla. I'm going to trust Verla on this one just because I'm going to maybe zig when Alex zags.
I don't think the brand has an answer for it because his answers have been pretty silly. But I will tell you that Verla was so close. The good news is Verla was right. It is Isabel Stanley,
Now there you go.
but not for the right reasons, though. So Isabel was her daughter. It was his daughter, not his wife. Catherine was his wife. You were almost right there. But Isabel is the right name. They named it after Isabel Stanley. She was a big supporter of hockey. And Algernon is also the name of one of his daughters. So they were all. I did not throw you guys off. It was actual family names.
Well done, ChatGPT.
Okay.
Thank you.
She was one of the first participants in Canada's first recorded women's hockey game.
That's excellent.
Yeah, a little true.
Okay.
All right, the last question before we get to that ChatGPT round. Who am I?
Adding an extra
Is
question.
it back to
there?
Alex?
Who am I? Is it back to Alex? Let's see.
I'm losing now. I'm behind. I gotta make hay.
True.
What are the scores before we go to this? What do we?
I think everything. If I'm remembering this correct, if you give it the correct answer, you get 1. If
Yep.
someone agrees with the correct answer, you get 1. If you
Yep.
go on your own and are correct, you get 2.
Yep.
I think right now it's got Verla and me with 3.
Okay.
With Alex lagging just a little with 2. Alex has
Mm.
got a little catching up to do. But fortunately, BJ makes up all kinds of garbage in the last
last
round where the
round, yeah.
last item is worth however many Alex needs to win. So we're
That's
good.
right. So I'm going to go with Steve. Steve, this is going to be your one.
All
Or
right.
do you want Verla to answer it? Maybe
No,
Verla
go
should
ahead.
answer
Go
it.
ahead. Trust it.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Which team? I'm going to give you 3 teams.
Mhm.
Which team, Steve, has won the least amount of Stanley Cups?
The least.
The least amount.
Okay.
The New York Islanders,
Okay.
the Dallas Stars,
Okay.
are the St. Louis Blues? Which team has won the least amount of Stanley Cups? Your beloved Islanders.
Yeah, I know my Islanders. Compared to the Blues, they don't go back as far, but
Alex,
they did well.
Montreal
I'm gonna say
or Islanders?
Dallas.
Canadians, Islanders?
Dallas has competed, but I'm going to say Dallas lags a little because I know the Islanders have 4.
Okay.
And I'm going to but Dallas, I think Dallas has 3.
Okay.
I'm going to say Dallas.
So Dallas has the least.
I'm going to say Dallas has the least.
St. Louis has the most, you think?
Well, that's true. That's an interesting point. I would say that they'd have to either be tied with. They have a longer history. I don't know their history. I'll say that sometime over their longer history, they may have gotten to 4.
Okay, so your final answer is
I'm going to say Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
And the
Verla.
question is, who has the least?
Who has the least of Stanley Cups?
Of the teams you listed.
Of the
Those-
teams
of
I've
those
listed.
3.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Of the
Because
teams
there's
I've
some
listed.
that don't have any.
Because obviously Utah has not won a Stanley Cup yet, right?
Yeah.
So not yet. Though the Utah Picas, right? That's the
Utah
that's the name of them?
Picas.
Yeah, the Utah
It
Picas.
should be.
There we go.
The ferocious Picas.
Yep.
Verla, what
Mighty
you got?
Picas.
Which one of those?
I'm
Mighty
gonna be
Picas.
honest.
It's the
Do not
Mighty
trust-
Picas
do
of
not
Utah.
trust me,
We got to
Verla.
get it right. Mighty
I'm-
Picas of
I'm-
No,
Utah.
I was just gonna say, of the 3 teams, the only one whose name I've heard is the Dallas Stars because I lived in Dallas for 8 years.
Mhm.
And I know they did okay. When,
So Zag, if you want the 2 points.
so
Zag.
yeah, I'm saying I disagree.
You're saying
with
Steve is
Verla
wrong.
says no.
Steve is
I
wrong,
say Steve's
right?
wrong.
BJ,
Okay,
I
I'll
want
make-
to clarify the question because it feels like you have either screwed something up or my memory is off.
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy too. What is
I
it?
say it's Alex. I say it's A, but go ahead.
Steve or BJ, is this most won Stanley Cups, not appearances in Stanley Cup finals?
Not appearances. They got to actually have had the Stanley Cup in their possession. That's right. Got to
Okay.
have won the Stanley Cup.
Wait, who's won the
Which-
most or who's won the least?
No,
Who's
which
won
is
the
the
least?
least? The 3
Still
teams
the
who's won the
least.
least.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Steve has said, but Dallas has
I
won.
said
the least.
Dallas.
And Verla said
No, it's
not
not
Dallas. Going for the 2 points. I'll give you a bonus 3 points if you want to name.
The
If
other
you
one.
want to give your answer and get it right,
I'll say
or
the
if
New
you want
York
to just stick with the 2 points, that's fine.
So
Stick
she
with the
says
2
New
points.
York has won the least.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
the New York one.
Verla's going with the Islanders.
Alex,
BJ, I'm curious if the realm of trick question is open, and I think it is.
Do not Happy Meal this, Alex. Do not Happy Meal this.
I'm not happy mealing that. I'm dead sure that the Dallas Stars won the cup in 1999 over the Buffalo Sabres in a very controversial called the like foot in the crease. It was a dumb rule, but it was
yeah, the
against
foot
the
in the crease
rules.
rule. Yep.
It was a bad rule. Dallas won the cup then. That's the only cup they've won. They've been in a final relatively recently, but they have not won any
Okay.
other cups.
Mhm.
St.
Okay.
Louis has also only won 1 cup. They both St. Louis appeared in the cup finals their first 3 years of existence, didn't win any of them, didn't win a cup game, got swept every time, and then won for the first time ever in 2019. A great story because they were the last team in the NHL, last place in
Of the originals?
January of the league that they won the cup. Year they won the cup in 2019.
Okay.
They're not an original. They're not an original 6 team. They were.
They're not an
expansion.
original 6.
No, they're not. No, they've been around quite a
They
while.
have been around for a long time.
Yep.
But
Around the same time as the Flyers as part of that expansion.
okay. All right.
But
Okay.
the correct answer is Steve is sort of correct and sort of incorrect. They both Dallas and St. Louis have each won 1 cup.
The Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues each have one. It was a trick question, so unfortunately,
So that's
do you
Alex's
score?
extra points there by actually telling you why you were wrong and why he was right. Alex wins.
I think so. I think he got the bonuses there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call. Steve, Alex actually said earlier when they won their first cup, my friend was working for St. Louis,
I
and
spoiled
I
your
was like,
question oddly. Yeah.
oh my God, he spoiled it, because if Steve knows that Dallas won only one, he's going to know that Alex just said that.
I thought
St.
Dallas
Louis
had
only won.
more. I thought
Yeah.
I
Dallas
thought
had
they did
more.
as well.
I thought-
They were in
Yeah.
a cup final
But
in
they-
2021.
But I
but
guess
they never
I'm
won as
I'm
the
thinking
Minnesota
of
North Stars.
success as being in the finals. So I guess I
Right,
was
right.
remembering them doing well, but not necessarily winning. So
They lost to the
Alex
Lightning
That's
is
where
that
my
year.
brain went.
They
I
lost to the
think-
Tampa Bay Lightning that year.
I think that was that actually paid off better than I wanted it to. I'm going to call the game right there. Whatever the scores are, that's what we're going to go with.
The
Because
score is that Alex wins.
my Chat GPT questions are not going to be nearly as funny. So I'm going to go with that. What do we got? What are the scores?
Oh, the score is that Alex wins. Essentially,
is.
Alex essentially
He
says
won.
at the end, BJ, I'm going to tell you why your game is wrong, and therefore I am right and I win.
I
So
couldn't help it.
Alex drinks your milkshake. That's
Alex, you guys weren't paying attention. Alex's eyebrow went like this whenever I threw the last two names.
When
And
you
then
said
when
the question was weird, man.
and
And by the way, I would actually advocate that Steve, in a sense, should get a point because Dallas does have the least among the teams listed.
Yeah, but it still wouldn't catch the fact that you basically schooled BJ at the end to take.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I think BJ lost ultimately.
well, generally speaking, if there's a tie, the Gumbo Overlord wins.
That's always the tiebreaker. If there's a tie that involves BJ, he loses. If there's a tie that involves Verla, she wins. So
I was giving her a chance, but she went to the Islanders. Had you picked either one of the other teams, you would have gotten all the points, right? I mean,
to be fair, when BJ loses, we're all winners, aren't we?
You're all winners. That's
That's
exactly
true.
right.
That's true.
And that, my friends, is another episode of the Did You Know game, sponsored by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Don't forget, Alex, make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. Oh, that paid off better than I could think of. So I was like, how could I get a nice little tricky question at the end? I want to thank my guest, Alex Goldsmith, for coming in. Thanks for all the information about FINSPAN. I'm looking forward to it. If people want to reach out to you, what is your address and telephone number? or
Mother's maiden name and your first pet.
What's social security number?
Sure.
What was the color of your first car? What's your mother's maiden name? Yeah.
Hey, every once in a while, people want to reach out to you. It's surprising. I'll get a little notification on BGG and I'll click on it. And there's a little post from somebody in the Dukes of Dice.
Yeah.
Just talking about a game they play, just reminiscing. I mean, you guys created all that.
Going to Albuquerque. Just, coming up out of nowhere. Comes back.
That was nice. So if they want to reach out to you, how do they get you?
I mean, less easily than they used to because I'm not wildly active on social media.
BGG is still the best way?
I guess I don't log on there that often, so probably not. Best way would be to reach out to BJ or Steve and say, "Hey, I'd like to talk to Alex." Then they'll get in touch with me. So
I'll share you. I'll share the phone number off screen.
Best way to reach Alex is to learn to be disappointed.
Wow.
He's not available. Alex is not available.
Yeah. Hiding. Hey, best way to reach out to me is don't.
Wow. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a night.
You never know. People might want recommendations on the best place to get po' boys in New Orleans. Reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Alex Goldsmith.
Want to find the best Provel pizza? Alex will get you set.
Advise you to get a better pizza.
That is the answer. Correct.
Yeah.
Alex wins.
Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, and the YouTube channel. Helps us get the word out about all of our upcoming shows. Like next week, we'll be doing Twitch gaming, hopefully FINSPAN if it comes in. I'll try to get that played for you guys, and you guys can check it out in the chat. Catch us on Twitch at twitch.tv/BoardGameGumbo, where we play your games live every other Tuesday night. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo, and for Alex and Steve and Berla, laissez les bon temps rouler.
Good night, friends.